Castle does UT4. Okay, so the version of the map that's up there currently right now is being play tested and people are actually checking it out. It's the one that I recently played and everything like that. But I have a more newer version where now I'm starting to retool the visuals and starting to think about how I'm going to bring the whole level together. And looking at the epics levels and everything like that, I'm I'm kind of noticing that they're doing a lot of like heavy brush work rather than doing meshes. But me personally, I feel more comfortable doing meshes, which puts me in kind of a weird spot because I'm kind of wondering like, should I do exactly what Epic's doing, or should I just start doing what I'm comfortable with doing, just and working with lots more meshes and things of that nature. And they may end up having a whole bunch of really good meshes, or maybe I'll end up waiting a really super duper long time for something like that. But to me, it's a no brainer. Meshes are instance geometry. You make the mesh look good in any place in the entire map. That area, that mesh looks good. It just seems, I don't know. I mean, I guess just for pure blocking out, but then in the case of blocking out, meshes are still better because they're more efficient than the brushes. Not just in terms of rendering, but they're more efficient in terms of placement and movement. They're easier to work with on every front in this tech. So I almost just feel like I want to just work with meshes, get really, really, really base block out in place, and just work with meshes most of the time. So at this point, that's what I'm kind of trying to decide. Ultimately, I think I'm just going to go with making my own meshes that can be used by anybody, just a techie set of meshes that will go with this environment. I want to try and aim for something that looks really super smooth and kind of like like Iron Man, his suit. I kind of want to have like that kind of a look to it. I know that's probably ultimately, I mean, I'm not gonna. That's kind of like my inspiration on it, but it'll probably end up looking different from that in some ways. But I kind of want to have that kind of level of detail, like the sort of really really smooth tech, like smooth metals. I want to mess around with that, and I guess that's ultimately what I'm just gonna end up doing. So working with the brushes in this, and then working with the grid. Uh, like vertices are not lining up, and now the guys over at Epic probably don't have this. They don't even realize that this is a problem, and that it's entirely likely a lot of these guys, they've never worked in Hammer, they've never worked in Radiant maybe, and like they don't realize what kind of a silent killer of logic these brushes really are. There's an origin. Every brush has an origin. Why? Why? Who cares? Who cares about the freaking origin of the brush? Always put it at the center of the brush. What's the problem? Maybe have a checkbox if I want to have an origin sitting somewhere outside of the map. I can't copy a brush and drag it over. I have to go into this like really slow and uh, annoying like mode in order to be able to do this, and in order to like drag the vertices around, and it doesn't like have any safety precautions and can cause like weird tessellation, and if I drag a vertex in a certain way, and sometimes when I create a brush it's not on the grid, like I have to like select all of the vertices and then right click once and then it snaps them to the grid, but the origin is still in some weird spot. Like a lot of this stuff, if this engine had Hammer's brush manipulation, which isn't even as good as Radiant's, it would be fucking awesome. It would be insanely better. Okay, I should just be able to grab, just to fucking drag the fucking mouse, and a brush comes out, and it's going to be lined up with the last brush I had selected. That's it. That's why isn't it that simple? Left click, drag, brush. Same height as the last brush I had selected. Simplest thing in the world. Select brush. I can change the size of it just by left clicking and dragging. Uh, at some point. So at some point I'll load up other editors to show just. But anyway, I've got. At this point, I'm kind of just messing around with the idea of having like wall pieces and things of that nature, but I don't know. Like I said before, what to do? What to do? Now it's just a thinking game. It's I think maybe what I'll do is utilize triplanar mapping and use a couple of different metal materials, like a light gray and then a really dark gray, like metal or plastic, and make really smooth meshes that like really fully utilize that. And then on the meshes themselves, use like blending maybe of some sort, or you can tell I'm very much in a brainstorming mode at the moment. But I really feel like I should do something really smooth. So stay tuned for what I'm actually going to do, because that's going to be when this map stops looking like a bunch of blocks. All right, thank you. Stay tuned.